One, two, three. Harold and Brad, Windy City Filmmakers. Harold and Brad, Windy City Filmmakers. Harold and Brad.
You're listening to the Harold and Brad Windy City Filmmakers podcast. Bonus footage.
You know what, real quick, I saw an interview with the producer on Filmmakers. I'm blanking on her name. And she was talking about just that, the importance of chemistry. She was talking about how, like, the nightmare situations where somebody said, well, I know this director, I know this DP, and they bring people together, and they're like, there's all this tension on set, right? Mm-hmm. And then she had to go in and be like the big parent trying to cool things down. And she was talking about the importance of having at least working chemistry, because to your point, you know, you could be on set for so many hours, get kind of tense, that plays an important part of the end product.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it can go definitely the wrong way for sure. And it can be like one person sometimes too, right. You know, if you have like 15 or 20 people on set, one person's like vibe, if they're not, the chemistry isn't good, it can kind of throw everything off. And then, you know, the actors are maybe thrown off. Like it really is important. And I've been so fortunate. I've never really had any kind of like nightmare set situations. I work with amazing people. So thankfully I've never had that situation happen, but I know it can.
Yeah. Let's talk about our film for a minute. We spent 3 nights out in the woods, campground down in southern or central Illinois. And it was nice. We shot overnight, so we slept during the day as much as possible. It was a beautiful experience. We started, call time was 7 p.m.
Yeah, it was it was so unique, you know, shooting like that, and that location was so special, 10-acre treehouse. It's like an Airbnb, you can find it. We found it on like glamping.com, but they have like these 3 cabins out in the woods, and it's just beautiful. And the cabin so like 2 of the cabins people slept in, and then some people stayed at a hotel too. And then one of the cabins was the one that we used for filming. And the owners of this property actually ended up naming that cabin Ashburn after our film.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that, Harold. It was so cool that, like, you know, and the guy that owns them, you know, he thought it was so cool that we were coming in, and he was so helpful with, you know, everything that we asked him to do. And, you know, it's just kind of like special when you especially are on a shoot like that, where people aren't going home to their families or to their houses at night. Like, you are kind of in it together. And yeah, especially if you don't get along, if someone doesn't get along in that situation, there's no getting away from it. Because we all carpooled down there. Right. You know, you're kind of stuck there 6 hours away from Chicago, but that was such an amazing experience. And I'd always find you, Harold, when I was like getting a little creeped out walking through the dark woods by myself. Escort me up there.
You know what was exciting though is when I got on set and I'm sitting there, I'm talking to Cowboy Cerrone, and he was telling me about his gig when he did that Denzel movie, and I was like, "Oh, I saw you. That was you." The rest of the trip, the rest of the shoot was exciting for me. I was like, "Wow, these are MMA fighters.
Wild.
MMA fighters I'm filming with." I was like, "Just some bad boys out here."
That was such a crazy experience too, because we had this other guy, Tate Fletcher, was supposed to be the role of Cowboy, and it was so crazy. I've never had an experience in indie film like this. So he got booked on a Netflix show, right? And the dates overlapped with our little indie short film. And Netflix was like calling us, trying to work around our schedule so that he could do both. Oh, and we were like, no, like, you go and film this. Like, do not worry about us. Like, we'll replace this role. Like, this is amazing for you. Like, you don't need to coordinate for us. Like, go and do Netflix. And then Keith Jardine was also on that shoot. And Keith was like, I had a buddy. I think he'd want to come up with me. They both live out in New Mexico. And then he told us it was Cowboy. And we're like, what? Okay. Yeah, it was really cool. And that actually meeting Cowboy on that shoot actually led to the next project that I did. So we shot that in October of 2019. And then in, I guess it was a year later. I don't know. Time is so weird right now.
Yeah.
Cowboy basically got he announced that he was doing a fight against Conor McGregor.
Right.
So through that, meeting him on that shoot, we had this idea to shoot this like kind of live release footage of him training in his camp for that fight. So a team of 5 of us went out to New Mexico to his ranch where his training camp is, and we would shoot and edit basically in real time. We shot for 6 weeks, and every single week we would shoot and edit an episode that week. Right. Every single week leading up to the fight. And it was just such a crazy experience. A timeline like that, I'd never had done anything like that. Cowboy's also he's like a wild man. So being on his turf, seeing him train, you know, he rides snowmobiles and dirt bikes, and he has so much energy. He's like, horses and buffalo. And I mean, he's like, you know, building things. He's such a cool person. And that was a really, really amazing experience. And just being able to go out and see his ranch and just kind of be in that culture. And then actually our DP on that project, the training project, he made friends with Cowboy, and he actually moved out to the ranch and lives out there, and now is his content like manager.
Oh, nice.
It's so wild. And like, I feel like this is such a film world story, because this happens all the time. Like, this thing leads to this thing, and this person knows this thing. And then it's just like, you try to connect the dots of all of it. Right. And it's wild. And that DP actually, I met him because he used to be one of my employees at Camera Ambassador. Yeah. So it's just like so full circle, and it's so cool. I love like seeing that kind of stuff come together. That's a trip. You know, I'm a big UFC fan, and Cowboy, I'm not just saying, has always been one of my favorite fighters. Cause like he always fights. Like he's like he's like the Prince of like fighting. That he's like Prince would drop like 1,000,001 albums. Cowboy like always ready to fight. So I love that energy. Right. Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, he's such a great person, and you know, he's really into, you know, acting and being on different shows, and kind of he does like a lot of Western stuff because he knows how to ride horses and he knows how to shoot guns, and he's got the, you know, kind of personality where he's not nervous to like do this on camera and put himself out there. It's really inspiring. So you wear a lot of hats. What are some important qualities in terms of leadership, in terms of being like being in your position? What are some important qualities needed to be a great leader in your position? Yeah, that's, you know, being a leader is, I think, the hardest job that I do because it's such an interpersonal thing. Right. And everyone, how they are led is different. So it's kind of constantly adapting to the people I'm working with and who I'm around. And I think, you know, for me, I have a very kind of loving, I'm very open. I like a lot of open communication. Listening, I think, is super, super important, and being very receptive and adaptive because people will usually, in some way, shape, or form, tell you what they need. You just have to be attuned enough to hear that, even if they're not saying it directly. So being a really good listener. I think also other things just to be a good leader is knowing where you're going. For you to be able to effectively lead, you have to kind of have an umbrella view over all the different parts and not get too wrapped up in any one specific thing. Right. And, you know, especially with the festival, this was kind of the first time I've worked in this capacity with like a board of directors, for example. And I'm the youngest person on this board of directors, and kind of really adapting how I work with them and communicate with them versus, you know, all the young techs at the shop. It's just a totally different group of people, and how we communicate is totally differently. And I always just try to have kind of like an overview sight of things so that I can, when people are coming to me, I already kind of have my bearings on whatever the, you know, topic or task or whatever. I'm a huge planner. I love spreadsheets. I love PowerPoints, like all that type of stuff. Like gets me jazzed up. Oh man.
Hey, Erica, here's a piece of trivia for you. Brad introduced me to the Midwest Film Festival. Back, he had a short film that played at the festival one time, and he invited me up to what was the castle's first name?
Yeah, it was the Excalibur Club.
Yeah. And he says, come, my film is playing. I was like, where? And I went. And so I was introduced to the space, the festival. I was like, wow, where you can put your headshots down here and resume and things like that. And Brad's film played up on a little screen. I was like, this is cool. But then, that was that. And then the next time I made it back was when Chicago Overcoat played. I was like, a few years, 2010, I was like, I need to be here every month. I call myself an actor. Wow. And that's why I stayed, because I was like, this was the ultimate place to be as far as networking, because it just happened all the time, often enough to where I could be gathered around people in the industry. And here you are making it happen now.
Yeah. I mean, you've been such a huge part of the festival for so long. And I think someone in your role sometimes is, you don't get all of the glory in it because you're behind the scenes. But all the stuff that you've done for years, even before I was involved, are really like the heartbeat of it. And I know when I was coming into it, just having the comfort of our relationship, knowing, sort of your character and how you work and how you're so dedicated, made me feel like I could do my job even better with you part of that team. So I'm so pleased that we've been able to get to know each other even more and work together. I can't wait till we're back in person again, and we need your leadership and your volunteers coming out again.
And I would have to say that February, when we did have that big grand opening with the 400 people there, you called me up on the stage to sit on the panel. I was like, oh my God, that was so special.
We needed you.
It was special.
Yeah, you know the fest.
Yeah.
You really do.
So we're just about out of time. Erica, it was a great conversation. So the last question we always ask is, what advice would you give a young person looking to follow in your footsteps, become a producer, entrepreneur? What advice would you give them?
I would say, don't let anybody tell you can't, forge your own path. I think that something for me is I never let what was or wasn't supposed to be, or you weren't supposed to do it one way, stop me. I said, I'm just going to do it I'm going to beat my own drum. So that would be something I'd say, because the film industry is wild. You can make it in so many different ways, and you can do it in so many different ways. So I would definitely encourage people to just kind of own however they want to forge their path into the industry, and then take every single opportunity that you can get. In 2017, I think I made a resolution with myself that every single project that came my way, I would say yes to.
Oh, okay.
I don't do that anymore, but I did that for 1 year, and I worked on all sorts of stuff that I would never work on again. Right. But it allowed me to learn so much. And I think just trying to say yes to opportunities that come, even if you don't completely know why you would do it, or, it's there's always something to be learned from those situations. And especially if it's outside of your normal, maybe circle of people that you work with, the opportunities that come from that is you just never know who's going to be there. And that leads me into my very final thought of this, is never discount any relationship. You never know. There's been relationships that I have been selling for years that I kind of was like, I don't know, nothing's ever going to come from it. And then I'll get a phone call and it'll be a huge job or an amazing opportunity to go and do something. So I would just say never discount anybody. You don't know who's who and who they're going to be, and treat everybody with respect and kindness, and just keep sowing those seeds.
I love this. Yeah. That's very inspiring. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, for Brad Stevens and
Harold Dennis.
As always, dream big, dare to be great. We're out of here. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Ooh la la. Yeah.